Hey, what's up YouTube? Thanks so much for joining me today. This is Jason. I'm with Jadren Aquatics. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to check out my channel. What this video today is going to be about is the fish room that I'm currently setting up in my garage. A little bit about myself. About 10 years ago or so I got into the saltwater. Before that I did some freshwater here and there, mainly 55-gallon tanks and stuff with my wife, and did a few of them when I was a kid, but never really had the money to really get much bigger than that. I've always been just fascinated with breeding, just of animals in general. It's something that drives my wife nuts. I had first of all, I'd gotten a tank off of a Craigslist that I didn't try to reseal, that broke on me and flooded our floors, ruined all our wood floors. Had to throw all that away. That didn't go very well. My wife does not have a good spot in her heart for Craigslist. In fact, she hates it. So fast forward a little bit, I would put the carpet down. I had already bought a 125, so it was breaking my heart not knowing exactly what to do, but my amazing, loving wife allowed me to set it up. So what I did is I took a corner of the front living room and didn't carpet that area. Instead, I put down ceramic tile and put a big enough area there so I could pretty much do whatever I wanted to do. So I went ahead and set up a 125 reef tank there, tons of live rock, tons of corals. Then corals got to growing, and then I needed a frag tank, so I had a frag tank that worked off of the same sump, about a 35-gallon off of that, and soon that wasn't enough. And then I began to go back to my wife and beg and plead with her to let me convert part of the garage. Hours of discussion, and then I'm not sure how many purses it cost me, but it cost me a few. I was able to take that room and convert that room over. I took about half of the garage, maybe a little bit more than that, and walled it up and insulated it. Set it up with multiple tanks. I ran a 55-gallon sump, all of them fed off of that. Again, all saltwater, growing corals, different type of anemones. I was into all sorts of different things, and did that for a few years. I forget how long it was. The mixing in the water, and I don't mind water changes, but the mixing in the water mixed with the water changes just became a lot, and just in such an expensive hobby. Luckily, I was growing so many corals that we did a lot of frag swap meets, and I would bring a lot of frags there, and I would be able to sell quite a few at those shows, so that helped pay for a little bit of my habit. So got out of the saltwater, sold most of my stuff, kept some of the odds and ends, decided to go into Panther Chameleons. I thought I was going to breed those. I got 3 females and 2 males, so I took that exact same room that I already had set up, since I already had it air conditioned and heated, and so it was a real easy transition, and that was a lot cheaper thing to get into. So got all those set up, did those for years. Then all those chameleons had gotten old. I'd lost one of them at an earlier stage and decided that I didn't want to breed them anymore because it was just a little bit too painful losing her. So I decided just to not breed them at all. I'm down to just 1 chameleon now. I've lost all the rest of them since then. So I was ready to do something else, and the call back to fish was just screaming at me. So I decided I would go back into freshwater. And instead of just setting up a show tank in the living room, that wasn't enough. I decided I needed to set up, I need to go big. I don't know how to do anything small. I always go completely and utterly overboard. So I immediately started setting up racks and stuff into the garage and getting all that set up. So we'll go in there in a minute and you'll get to see all the tanks that are set up so far. Everything is in the middle of cycling right now. I do have a 55-gallon that it's up in the front of my house in the living room where the show tank will eventually go. I can't make up my mind what type of tank I want to get yet, or what I want to put in it. It's just the distance that tank is from the garage makes water changes a lot more difficult because of having to roll out the hose and stuff to it. So I'm going to do Discus, but I just don't know if I want to do Discus there, because my plan when growing out Discus is to do about 90% water change just about every single day. That's the fastest way to grow them out on a bare bottom tank. So Can't make up my mind if that's what I'm gonna do or not, and can't make up my mind on the show tank. But I know I'm gonna have a lot more fun out in the fish room, so I'm focusing all my attention there. I've got a 1-year-old granddaughter who's fallen in love with the tank up front that is cycled, that I've got some Swordtails, and I bought some different bushy nose Plecostomuses that she loves to go into, and then she loves to come into the fish room. So I'm gonna leave that 55-gallon tank set up there for now until I decide what I'm gonna do later. All right, let's take a look at what we've got set up so far here in the fish room. We've got a cinder block stand that we've set up here. Down here at the bottom, we've got a 20 long, and over here on this side, we got a 20 long also. And the next shelf here, we've got a 29, and then we've got a 55. And then up on top, I'll have 2 more 20 longs that I'll put up there on each corner. And then if we look over this way, we'll see we've got these metal stands set up here. We've got them set up on 3 rows. As of right now, not 100% sure what I'm doing. May turn a bunch of 10-gallons sideways, may do some 20-gallon high sideways all the way there to get as many tanks as we can. Haven't quite made up my mind exactly what the plan is. Back over here again, the 29, the plan is we're probably gonna get about 20 or so, probably dime-sized discus that we'll use in the 29 to grow them out. I'll probably end up painting the back some type of lighter color. Then once they get grown up a little bit, we're gonna move over here and put them in the 55. I painted a little bit too dark. It may cause some peppering, so I haven't decided if I'm not gonna switch that out. I use plastic dip, so it'll be real easy just to peel it off and put another color on. Use that as a grow out to get those a little bit bigger. You can see down here we've got some Plecostomus caves set up. These are some of the ones that you've seen some of the guys use online that they're designed to be planter watering spikes. They're made out of terracotta. Much cheaper way to get your Plecostomus caves. And then over here we've got my son's leopard gecko, who's hiding in the cave right now, just hanging out. Then over here, about to go to sleep, we've got my ambilobe Panther Chameleon. His name is Django. He is actually the last chameleon that I have. You'll notice on the tops I have on, these are the DIY tops. These are the greenhouse plastics that you get from Home Depot. Lowe's doesn't sell them. I tried to use the corrugated kind, the plastic corrugated kind. I just didn't like those things. They didn't sit very well, and they wanted to kind of pop up. These set a whole lot more flat, so I really have enjoyed these. Also the lighting, these are DIY lighting. These are ones that you've seen Joey do before. That's kind of bright up there. What you can see that I've used is this is that plastic gutter. And then I've got on Amazon and bought these white LED lights. They're the 6600K. You can kind of look up here, it's pretty bright. I've actually taken the silver aluminum tape and put it along the sides to create a lot more of a bright effect. Right now, I've just got the simple 8-outlet pump that's pumping the air, but the plan is to get a diaphragm pump and run a manifold around the entire outside, because these over here, these are all going to run on sponge filters also. I debated running a sump, but changed my mind just in fear of one tank gets something and they all get it. I figured it's a whole lot easier just to run them all as sponges. So the manifold will run the entire room so that I can power all the sponge filters to all the tanks. So down here we've got all the extra stuff I've accumulated over the years from being in saltwater also. Heaters and pumps and HOBs and tons of PVC fittings. Down here, these are some of the water sources and stuff that I have for the mistings for my my chameleons. I've got 2 of the 44-gallon Rubbermaids that I've got water prepared in so that I can pump out. You'll notice on the wall I've got a lot of different hoses and stuff that I'm using and you'll notice on each one of them I have these quick disconnects. They have a different name than that whenever you look in the store, but that's basically what they are. What that makes it real easy for me to hook it to whatever pump that I'm trying to use, or whatever little fixture that I've made. Look over here on the wall, you can see some of the different fixtures that I've made. This one right here is for when I'm sucking water out of the tank to do a water change. This one right here is for when I'm putting water back in. This one right here is for, allows me to hook the water hose directly up to it, so that when I'm filling the 40-gallon buckets up again, it's real easy just to hook it on there and try to, instead of trying to hold the water hose directly on there. So this contraption right here is a sump pump. So since my fish room is not like many that you see online where they have theirs down in a basement, mine is actually in a garage because I'm in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in Texas. So in my garage, I don't have any access to drainage or water without paying thousands of dollars to have a plumber come out and rip all my walls up, and I can promise you my wife would not look too kindly upon that. So I started watching a bunch of videos online trying to figure out exactly what's the next best thing that I can do, and this is what I found, this sump pump. So when I had the house built, I had a doggy door built directly through the brick wall, directly outside, straight past this wall, and we only used it for about 6 months, and then we decided to bring the other dogs we had out back into our house because it was killing us that they were outside. We loved them so much. So that no longer got any use. So it works out perfect now because it allows me to have a way to drain outside. So the sump pump will pump all the water that I put into it, pump it right out the door, right out through the doggy door, and then you can see how it has a water hose there on it, and that water hose hooks up outside, and I actually made a sprinkler system using PVC pipe and sprinklers heads that you would see like in bushes. So it's watering my yard at the same time every time I'm using it. You can see that it's got a device on it, it's got a float, so whenever it reaches a certain height, it automatically turns itself on and automatically pumps it out. So if over here on the rack system that I'm going to do, if I want to set up overflows, so it overflows into a drain, I can have those drains automatically overflow down into the sump here and automatically again go outside, so I don't have to deal with it. You can also see that I've got a bulkhead attached to it, and then I have a hose going up here, and what this is for is so that I can do water changes. If you'll look on right here, you'll see this is the wand, I guess you might call, that I actually use. You can see that it has a ball fitting on it, and what that does is that keeps the water primed all the time. Since it's only working on gravitation feed, I keep the water primed in the hose, so I can immediately take that, put it inside one of the tanks right now, and it'll turn that ball valve on, and it'll start automatically pumping down, or it'll automatically start gravity feeding into the sump, and then again be pumped right outside. I made it so that I can change that wand out to different sizes. It's not glued on there, and do however I want it to work. And then on top of the sump, you'll see this is not a dehumidifier like you see in a lot of guys' rooms. This is actually a air conditioner. It's got a dehumidifier setting built into it, but this is an air conditioner. So again, we're living in Texas. The cold, we don't have to worry about that often. It's the 30, 60, 90 straight days of 100 degrees outside that we have to worry about. So I keep the air conditioner in here set on about 77. The decision I had to make was originally with the tanks, was I going to go ahead and put heaters in all of them? And as I began to buy heaters, I realized this cost was going to get out of control in a hurry. So I started watching a bunch of other videos and realized that the best thing to do was just go ahead and temperature control the room better, so that I kept it exactly what I wanted the water to be. Of course, for the Discus, I have to keep them about 84, so I have heaters in these two tanks. On the water barrels that I have down here, one of them I have just naturally being cooled by the room, so that stays about 77, 78 degrees. The other one I actually have a heater in it, so I keep the water about 81 or 82 degrees on it. Now we're in my laundry room. This is directly connected to the garage. What I have here is this right here. I've been really excited about it. I've run water hoses and stuff out to the fish room, and they are so heavy and they're hard to deal with, and they always want to kink up. This is one of those expandable kind that have the cloth on them. They've also got a ball valve on them. So this thing is extremely easy to move around, and it's very light and easy to handle. And you can see it goes right into the to where I have the water from the washing machine going. So I've just got let's see if we can get over here. I've got a dual valve coming out, so that one of them goes to the washing machine, and then one of them goes out to this this hose again that I have. This other contraption that you see on here is actually connected to the drain. It's it's about I think it's like a 1.5 inch Y valve. So that I can hook up, again, I've got a quick disconnect on it, so I can hook up a pump and hook up to that quick disconnect, and I can pump water directly into the drain and just run a hose out to the garage, and it doesn't affect the drain that the washing machine goes on at all. As you guys can see right here, I've got this thing hooked up now. I'm about to fill up these two 20 longs that I have up on top. This is that hose that I was telling you about, the expandable water hose. So it's got a ball valve on it, so I just have to reach up and turn it on and let it start filling up. And then whenever that thing gets full and I turn that off, and then I go turn that water supply back off, that hose will shrink up to about probably 25% of its size. Well guys, thanks again so much for joining me today. What a joy it's been. I'm just humbled that you're willing to take your time to spend with me. I hope you guys would subscribe as I plan on putting out more videos. I hope that you guys would leave some comments below, maybe some ideas or something you think I might need to change or do differently. Just looking forward to being a part of this community. I've enjoyed so many of you other guys' channels and really inspired me. Again, I ask that you guys would subscribe. Again, I appreciate you being here, and God bless you guys, and thanks.